Welcome to another episode of Off the Record with Dannie Rogers, and I would like to welcome in NFL draft media superstar and superback of the Detroit Lions, Jason Cabinda. That was your first experience while we were in Kansas City at the draft for your man on the street interviews. How'd it go?
It was pretty cool. The fans were excited. I mean, we got some pretty cool answers. We met some cool, interesting people, some big fans. I mean, got some food recommendations. I mean, it was a good experience, truly.
You want to go into broadcasting after football, right?
Yeah, no question.
Yeah, it's not like we are making Jason come out and do all these appearances. You came to us and you're like, hey, I want to do this. Let's get the reel going.
It's 1,000% the next thing I want to conquer.
Why?
After football. I mean, I didn't really know it was probably till junior year of college. Up until that point, I probably thought I was going to be a broker on Wall Street, managing money, some type of financial analyst of some sort. I went to school for economics, so that's the direction I was heading in. And then my junior year, actually, we had our Go PSU reporter. She had asked me. They have a little a recruiting show where basically we rate our recruits, and then we talk about all right, who's going to be an instant impact recruit? Who's going to come in the summer? Blah blah blah. Bring a couple coaches onto the live show. She was like, "Can you host a live show with me?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not? I'll try it." I was always good at doing interviews. I've always been a good speaker. So I'm like, let me try this out. And we did the live show. Had a live audience and everything. We brought some recruits onto the actual show and talked to them, asked some questions, brought a couple coaches on. And it went really well. And after she was just she pulled me to the side and she was like, Jason, I know this was kind of just a let me just try it type of thing, but you really, really could do this. She's like, you're supernatural at this. Make sure you look into it. She was like, just do that for me. Just look into it. I'm not saying this is what you want to do, whatever. And I was like, I really never had somebody say that to me that with that much certainty, you know what I mean? So I was like, all right, let me just, keep kind of fostering this thing I got in me. And, the interest kept growing and growing. And now that I've been in the league, I've done broadcasting boot camp, advanced broadcasting boot camp. I was able to call Super Bowl a couple years ago, the Miami Super Bowl for what is it? Talk Sport.
Oh wow!
For the the UK's ESPN.
Oh,
is it Talk Sport?
Is that what
I believe it's Talk Sport.
Okay.
But it was cool. It's been a really good experience, and I'm now in a place where I'm I for sure want to do this without a question.
So what would it be? Analyst, do a post-career Tom Brady thing?
I think my goal would be a Kirk Herbstreit type of role. I would love to be on the road a lot, covering the best games, either college or NFL.
I was gonna say college and NFL.
And then obviously also having an opportunity to have some type of studio analyst role where we're really analyzing games. That would be my perfect scenario.
Okay, so this is going on the reel. We're speaking this all into existence. All right, broadcaster, NFL player, very different from the careers of your parents, which is professor, teacher in high school, and then your dad is an MD, a medical doctor, and sounds like he has a very cool job. So how were you raised? Was it to be an NFL player? Were they okay with you taking this path?
That was never the intention, honestly. Honestly, the reason why I started playing football is because my parents got divorced and I had terrible anger problems as a kid. I needed an outlet, I was always a really good kid in school. I had straight A's. I didn't get into fights. I was never the kid who had, teachers calling home hey, Mom, your kid's freaking acting up at school. I was never that kid. But when my parents got divorced, I was becoming that kid, and that concerned my mom a lot. And one of her best friends that she worked out with at the YMCA, she had just enrolled her son into football, and she convinced my mom to enroll me too. I hated football at first. I was an out-of-shape kid, so not ready for football, and just the vigor of what football was, training camp and stuff like that. I remember we used to have bear crawls, and I would literally hide in the bathroom when we had the bear crawls.
Those are not nice anyway.
I've come from I've lived both sides of the spectrum, truly. It's being where I am now. It's where I started when I played football. So I feel I have an extra level of appreciation and gratitude for everything.
So how old were you when your mom?
When I first started, I was 10.
Oh my gosh.
5th grade, yeah. My parents got divorced it was 3rd grade, end of 2nd grade, 3rd grade. And then the 5th grade is when I started playing football.
Mm-hmm. You peeled back the layers a little bit off camera, talking about how your Nigerian parents brought you up. And you said Cameroon. Mm-hmm. And your mom came over to the States, and she was pregnant with you at the time. Mm-hmm. So did she come over to America to make sure that you were born here?
Not necessarily. I don't think it played out like that, but I know the plan was to come here. Honestly, the things that are going on in Cameroon now, Cameroon is very, very, very tough. right now. Super corrupt. There's a lot going on, civil war, that type of environment. And my parents predicted this 20-something years ago, that Cameroon would come to the place that it's in right now. And that's why they moved here. So it's kind of crazy hearing all the stuff going on in Cameroon now, knowing that my parents knew that this was going to happen. So super lucky to be here. And I think I always talk about appreciation and gratitude all the time. Those are my two top words, but it's so true, because I know not everyone feels like this, but I know I definitely feel like this. I know for a fact that it's a true possibility that I could not be here right now. I could be in Cameroon with zero opportunity, with none of the opportunities that I have right now. So I feel like every time I have an opportunity to grow myself in any kind of way, I always try to take advantage, because I never forget that. In the back of my head, there's always that, little voice saying man, take advantage, because none of these opportunities would be here if you were still in Cameroon. That's just the truth.
Yeah. How did your parents keep your Cameroon roots intact, though, even though you were born and raised here in the States?
That's a good question. Really good question, honestly. Honestly, I think we kept my roots that way just off the strength of, we really don't hang out with Cameroonian people. We're always hanging out with Africans, Cameroonians or Nigerians. When my parents first got here, they were scared of Black Americans. I'm not even gonna lie. They were scared. We lived in California, near Crenshaw. There's a lot of crime. They didn't understand gangs. They didn't understand black on black crime. You know what I mean? They just didn't understand it. It was so foreign to them. Coming from Cameroon, where our saying is it takes a village to raise a child. We're so much about family, about respect, about each other. Those are so much the values that we grew up on. So I think when they saw that, it was quite the culture shock for them. And I think they just tried to keep us under wraps, and that's why we stayed so close to Africans, because they knew for a fact that their values were right. You know what I mean? And yeah, they were just scared. They had never really been around white people, so they were scared of white people, and they were scared of Black people here because they didn't understand some of the behavior of some Black people here. So it's interesting, that contrast and experience that I've had, and differences of values. I feel like it's made me a very well-rounded person now as an adult. If that makes sense. Yeah.
With so much uncertainty your parents faced, for them to go on to have careers as a professor in college, your mom, and like I mentioned, medical doctor for your dad. Yeah. How inspirational is that?
Very. I mean, the standards were high in the household. It's really like that in most, if not all, African households. Like I said earlier, if you're not a doctor or a lawyer, you're not taken very serious, or they'll look down on you. You know what I mean? So even pursuing football as long as I have, at first was kind of are you sure this is something that can even be something?
You got a degree in econ. Are you sure you want to?
Yeah, and and I mean, I had sisters that graduated high school with 4.0s. My sisters are older than me, so I had to follow that. I had a 3.5 in high school, so I didn't have
not good enough.
No 4.0, but I tried, especially with playing sports. But yeah, that's a standard. I think that's very, very important. I think that's why I hold myself to such a high standard and everything, because that's what they did. That was the expectation. We brought you all the way here to America. We didn't bring you here not to be somebody. And I understand that. I understand that sacrifice, and I'm appreciative of it.
Mm-hmm. So you're a little brother.
I'm the little brother. 2 older sisters.
How much older are they?
A lot older, honestly, 8, 9 years. Yeah.
Did they just pick on you?
They did sometimes. I won't lie. They
did
sometimes. But I feel like the majority of my important childhood years, it was really just me and my mom. Because my parents were divorced. My sisters went off to college. The divorce was tough, so my sisters went far away. They're all the way in California, with USC and FIDM. So we were in Jersey. They were far. So it was really just me and mom. And those was what I really call my critical, childhood years, where I really had to grow up. My mom's obviously was a single mom, working 2 jobs, trying to make sure I was good, taking me to practice here, or arranging me rides here, or, whatever the case may have been. And, I had friends whose moms and dads helped me out a ton, getting to where I needed to, because she always, was working and stuff. So I'm appreciative of all those people who have gotten me here.
I love that. And then we talked a little bit. Your relationship's growing with your dad?
Yeah, it has. We weren't close growing up. Like I said, the divorce was really tough. It was divorce, and then it was kind of a double whammy. For a couple of years, I was going back and forth, getting used to that, because he still lived in New Jersey, so I'd go every other week, mom's, dad's house. Then in the 5th grade, he moved to Chicago. So I went from seeing him every other week to seeing him once a year. And that was a double whammy for me. The divorce was one thing, but then my dad leaving was a even bigger thing. So that was kind of the double whammy that kind of broke me for a sense, in terms of when I started really acting up in school. I was getting into fights. My grades started dropping. My grades had never dropped, stuff like that. And it was tough. It was tough from there. I can't even lie. It was probably till 8th grade. I lived with a lot of bitterness, a lot of anger, probably till 8th grade. And I forget what triggered it, but I remember one time we were coming home with my mom. We're in the car, and my mom was like, Jay, she was like, there are kids out here who have no parents. They don't have either a mom or a dad. She's like, you have a mom that loves you so much, who's always going to be here for you, always has your back. Like, I know this is hard. I know your dad hasn't been here, blase, but be appreciative. You at least have one parent. And I really took that to heart that day. And I think since that day, I started to, forgive and started to, just be appreciative that I have my mom, at least. Because it's true. There's foster kids. There's kids who are orphans, and kids who don't have parents, who don't know their parents, or whatever the case may be. And so, not having my dad in my life at that time, it wasn't the end of the world, and I needed that talk with her to help me through that. Then probably the relationship with my dad was really the same through high school. It didn't get better till college. College was the first time he saw me play. Yeah. It was my freshman year. Mm-hmm. It was my first start, actually, in college against Northwestern. I had a pretty solid game, and he saw me play that game. And really, since then, the relationship grew, and we started talking more. He probably came to a couple more college games through my career, been to a couple NFL games. So the relationship's grown, he calls me now, we talk more. And it's good. It really hasn't been till I've gotten older that I really realized that I needed that relationship in my life. I feel like I got to a place where I felt like I was either too good for it, or too man enough, or too tough, or I didn't need it anymore, But as I've matured and as I've grown and as I've talked to him, and I realized my dad is so much me, DNA is so strong. Mm-hmm. So I think, talking to him and learning more about him and growing to know him more as an adult, makes me very appreciative of having him in my life now, because it makes me realize that, it's, every kid needs their parents, it's the truth.
Yeah. And what does he do specifically in his medical field?
He specializes in drug safety, specifically cancer drugs, new drugs that come on the market, writing reviews, figuring out side effects, what drugs should go out on the market, what shouldn't, stuff of that nature. So he's been up there for a while, he's got a big job.
Uh-huh. And what does Mama teach? What does she specialize in?
ESL, English as a second language. So, she normally deals with, kids who come from foreign countries, or, just kids who don't speak English yet, whatever the case may be. Kind of accelerates them, get them back and acclimated to, being here. So
yeah. Wow, the Jason Cabinda story, I love it. You're going into year 6 in the NFL.
I am.
Do you feel old as heck? Oh, you are old.
No, I'm still rookie.
No, you're not, dude.
Year 6.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Can you believe how I don't know, it seems like it's flown by for you.
No, it definitely has. Rookie year felt like it was yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Why does it feel like that?
I just can't really believe it. Yeah. I can't believe I've been here as long as I've been. Since that first team when I was here, probably 5-10 guys maybe that are still here.
I don't even think it's that much.
Yeah,
since 2019.
Yeah. It's Deck, Frank, me.
I think Graham was.
Romeo, I think. Yeah, Romeo.
Was Graham there?
Graham was there.
Okay.
But he left and came back.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. There's been a lot of turnover in this building. I've seen a lot.
Yeah.
Between coaching staff, players in and out, But the growth and the journey has been awesome. It's awesome to see our culture going into what it is. Reminds me a lot of my journey at Penn State, honestly.
Really? You love the culture there?
Yeah. But just what we went through, being at Penn State, the sanctions that just finished, my first year we had 46 scholarship players on the roster. Normal college football, 1A roster has 85 scholarships. We had 46 our freshman year.
Because of the sanctions?
Because of the sanctions. So we had walk-ons, and we used to call them run-ons because they would walk on and actually play. So we called them run-ons.
They had crazy. Wow. Yeah. Did you, usually college rosters carry about 100, 120, was it 125?
Yeah, it was still the same amount of players, it's just not scholarship players. Yeah.
And you stuck through that?
Yep. First 2 years, we had very average years. We might have been 7-5, 8-5, something like that. And then junior year, we won Big Ten championship. We clicked, went through adversity, bounced back. That factor of self-belief, because that's really what it is in football. Especially at this level where there's supposed to be so much parity. Everyone's supposed to be the same. Every team's built to be the same in a sense. That's a difference maker, and I can feel that same culture being built here. I really do feel like that same self-belief. We believe in ourselves. We're going into every game feeling like we're going to win. That's important, really important.
Gosh, everyone keeps asking all the players, do you feel the outside expectations on this season? Do you feel it, or do you I call it player talk, player speak. No, we don't pay attention to the outside stuff, all that outside noise.
That's a good question. I'm gonna say no, but I'm gonna say no for a different reason because I get it. Yeah, that's a typical answer. Like, oh no, we don't listen to outside speech. I think for us, I actually just think like we want it that bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's been a long road. At least for me, since I've been here, like, I feel like on every team that I've been on, even growing up in sports, like as a kid, like I was really never on a team that was even like below 500. So like my first couple of years here, that was like really the first time in like my life that I've lost like that, So that was really tough for me, and it took a lot of growth. It took a lot of growth because I didn't really know how to handle it. It was you work super hard, you do everything you're supposed to do, and the result was going to come. And I was doing all those things, the result wasn't coming. So that was a time in my life where I really had to mature and realize that you have to keep doing those things no matter what the result is going to be or what it's going to look like, because that's what you know is true to you. Those are your values. That's what's gotten you here. And it's taken some time, but now we're where we're at, where we're kind of in this crossroads where it's like, okay, we're going to take the next step. And I truly feel like we are, man. I mean, we have a special coaching staff. We have special players. I mean, in the NFL, it's very rare for you to have coaches who've played. You have coaches who not only played, but really, truly had success in the league. I've played 5-10 years in the league. I think the level of respect that you have for guys like that when they're teaching you things is just different. It just is. A lot of coaches, I'm not saying every coach is just an X and O guy. A lot of coaches have a ton of experience, all those kinds of things. But when you have a guy who's really played, who's been in your shoes, who's done what you've done, there's just another level of respect. There's another level of paying attention to detail because the merit that are behind those words is there because they've done it and they've been there and they've had that same success that you want for yourself. So I think what we have going on here is very special.
So it's not overhyped?
No, absolutely not. I don't
think it is either. Gosh, okay, that's great. What room do you spend more time in? Running back room or tight end room?
Nowadays, it's the tight end room.
Okay.
Subject to change. Probably.
Really? Like you don't just bounce back and forth?
I have. Yeah, I've bounced back and forth. But lately, I've been with the tight ends.
What if meetings are at the same time?
Say it again?
What if meetings are at the same time? Can you do both
That's
in one day?
That's what I mean by I've gone back and forth, kind of depending on what the offense needs me to do.
Okay, so you're in the tight end.
I'm just a handyman.
I know.
Whatever you need.
Superback. Cabinda. Now that you're in the tight ends room a lot, and I noticed this. I was able to watch one rookie minicamp practice, and Sam Laporta did stick out. Yeah. Like a sore thumb stuck out in the best way. What are you seeing from him off the bat?
Receiving skills. Catches the ball super naturally. I mean, his catch to tuck and get his eyes up the field and getting ready to be a runner are impressive for a rookie. I truly believe he can have that same TJ effect, that he had on our offense, without a doubt. He's going to help us a lot in the passing game. But he's smart, he works hard, those are the kind of things you want to see out of a rookie. Obviously he was drafted high, but you could tell he's coming ready to work. You can tell he's coming not feeling like he has it all figured out, which is important as well. So, guys like that, when they come in, they're going to grow because they're willing to take coaching. They're willing to, not just willing, but they know they have to get better. Because at the end of the day, this is the NFL, and what you did in college ain't going to cut it here. So that's very, very exciting to see out of Sam.
How often are you around Jahmyr Gibbs then?
We're locker mates.
Are you? How is Jahmyr Gibbs?
He's good. He's good. Saw him out there at practice today. Also natural hands. Also type of guy looks like going to be a threat in the receiving game. He's got speed. He's got home run speed. Man, I'm excited about him as well.
Was he the rookie that you were whooping down on ping pong?
No, that was AG.
Who's AG?
Green.
Oh, Antoine.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know Antoine from a prior, or is it just him getting in the locker room?
No, he was just talking a little smack, and I had to,
put him in his place. So did you win?
Yeah, I won.
Calvin Johnson was just at practice, OTAs. I don't know the last time he was out at practices. Yeah. Were you a little shocked, or did you know he was coming?
I didn't know he was coming, but it was good to see. To have a guy like that around, a Hall of Fame guy who freaking everyone in this building looks up to, honestly, is huge. I mean, that's awesome. It's kind of funny you mentioned because when we went to Kansas City, I was actually sitting next to him on our flight there.
Oh my God, you were sitting next to Calvin?
Yeah. So we ended up meeting that day.
First class buddies?
Yeah, we ended up meeting that day on the plane, and we're just, chopping it up, rapping the whole time. He was talking about his investments and stuff, and just how he loves the city, how he's still here and stuff. So it's really good to have him around.
What are the odds you sit next to Calvin Johnson on an airplane?
I was with D. Barnes, actually, because we were both going down there to Kansas City because D. Barnes was going to go see his cousin, Sean Alexander, the running back from Seattle. And he literally walked past, like, there's a little storage, you can get water and stuff that's at the airport. He, like, walked past, I'm like, isn't that Calvin Johnson? And Barnes was like, nah, that's not him. I'm like, bro.
I think that's Calvin.
Because, with football, it's hard. You're used to seeing somebody in a helmet. You don't always know everybody's
yes.
faces, you know what I mean?
But that's a big dude.
I'm like, yeah, it's a big dude. I'm like, that's gotta be him, bro. Like, I swear that's him. And then when we finally sat down, I was like, nah, that's definitely him, 100%. And DB was right behind us, so we were all just chopping it up.
Oh my gosh, did he know who you were?
No, I introduced myself.
Was he, like, so shocked that you're playing for the Detroit Lions?
Yeah, he was laughing. He was like, small world.
What are the odds? Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I love stories like that. You've mentioned degree in economics, investments. I was just sitting in, the staff here does a great job of preparing the rookies for their new salaries. So they teach them the financial literacy of it as well. You're a vet, you're old as heck. We already talked about that. What is your advice, financial advice, as an economics guru to rookies and mainly NFL players in the league, or people like me who's starting to finally buckle down on financials?
That is a great question. Obviously, it varies on based on where you're drafted and where you're not. Some guys are gonna have more money in their pockets right now than other guys. Some guys' situations are more solid than others. But what I would say, and it obviously comes down to saving your money is number one. There's no question about that. But find ways to make passive income ASAP, because we're in a position as young people where you're supposed to take risks with your money. We're young. A lot of us aren't married, don't have kids. This is the time for risks. I think one thing I learned early in my career, I don't think it would have gone different even with the knowledge I have now, just because of my situation. I kind of had to do what I had to do. But if I was a first, second, or third round pick, where I felt really good about being on the team in my situation, I would have bought a house immediately. Renting. Because the thing with being in the league is you're traveling so much. You're all over the place. You're training here, then you have to be here with your team. And not everybody stays in their NFL cities, because some guys like to be, for example, I live in Florida in the off season. I need the good weather to train during off season instead of being out here in the cold. But, I started doing Airbnbs because my first 3 years, I'd realized I was throwing so much money in the trash renting. And even when I went in the off season, I was always getting an Airbnb or, leasing for however long I was leasing for. So getting out of doing that altogether, so I ended up buying a crib in Florida. And then when I would come here for Detroit, I'd rent it out when I was gone, and ended up making so much money that it paid for itself and paid for my place here. And that's when I was like, oh, wow, I've absolutely been pooping the bed. I should have been doing this for a long time. Yeah. Ended up getting a second crib, doing the same thing. Then when I go back to Florida, I just move into the crib that does worse, whichever one makes the least amount of money.
How many do you have to choose from?
I have two.
Okay.
I have two so far.
Okay.
I was hoping to get a third by now, but the market's been kind of crazy. So
crazy.
Yeah, kind of waiting for it to die down a little bit.
When do you have time to do all this?
I'm a busy man.
Do you have someone helping you?
Yeah, I do. I hired my best friend from home, my boy Malik. Man, he helps me out a ton. Especially with just organization. Honestly, it's the biggest thing, because I'm the type of person who I'm always running around with my freaking head cut off like a chicken. I'm A to B, A to B, A to B, A to B. Okay, here to here, then we're going here, then that's just how I move and how I operate. So he very much helps with the organization and the in between time and that kind of stuff. So it's important to have people like that,
Malik the MVP. Yeah. Amazing. Okay, it's time for some fan questions. I'm so excited for these because some of them are actually kind of good. You never know what fans want to ask NFL players. Sometimes they ask, it's just different. But I did post your famous GIF of you from the Hard Knocks.
Man,
yeah,
everyone loves that one.
The number one question was, what were you thinking in your head when you were making this face?
Oh man, I don't think I could say it on this podcast. It involves probably some curse words, but very, very. Let's just say I was very ready to run through a brick wall at that moment.
What was that?
I was ready to pretty much pad up that second.
Was that the Dan Campbell baby powder talk, or was that a different one?
No, that was his. Our journey talk about F everybody else, F what everybody says about us. We're just gonna go like this, and soon everybody's gonna know. And you know how Dan gets, man. You took that to heart. Yeah, you know how Dan gets, man. He gets us fired up, man. It's awesome to have a coach like that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you were in fact thinking about running through a wall.
Absolutely.
Okay. Ryan asked if you didn't play superback. I'm glad people just know to call you that. What other position would you play and why?
I'd go back to linebacker without a doubt. I miss playing defense. I ain't gonna lie.
Just throw you out there.
I miss the dark side a little bit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind going both ways in the league. That'd be pretty cool.
Just tell Shep, look, man, I'm ready to suit up for you.
I might have to.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. This is from Charles. What is one of your personal goals?
Charles Harris?
No, this is Charles, a different Charles. I should have got Charles on this. What is one of your personal goals for this upcoming season? And does it include breaking a couple of face masks like Corey Schlesinger did in the past?
Ooh, personal goals. I feel like this is actually a year that I'm going into with probably the least amount of personal goals. I feel like this is the most team-oriented I've probably ever been from a mindset standpoint. Man, I'm just so excited to win. I want a Super Bowl. That's really all I care about. I don't care about stats. I don't care about catches. I don't care about yards. Obviously, if that's what I'm asked to do, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do my best ability without a doubt. But my absolute biggest thing is just winning. Because I truly do feel like, we're in one of those time periods where we have a window, where I truly feel like our roster is really talented enough. We really have enough in this building to do what we want to do on a consistent basis. So I'm just excited for that.
Oh, my gosh. All right. This same Charles wants to know, which teammate would you not want to date one of your sisters? And you have 2 sisters.
Oh, man. That's a tough one.
I know.
He gonna kill me, but I gotta go with Craig Reynolds.
No way.
I go with my dog, Craig. I love Craig, though.
Good old Craig.
That's my dog. But Craig ain't dating my sister, man.
All right. What is your favorite hit that you can remember, and how did it happen?
My favorite
Probably
hit.
when you were a linebacker, but also maybe as a superback.
Oh, man. I freaking stonewalled Derek Watt my rookie year. They were running lead right at me when I was playing defense. Okay. They were running lead right at me, and oh my God, let's put him in the ground.
Your favorite Dan Campbell speech? Was it the Hard Knocks one? Or is there another one?
I'm trying to think if there's another one. He has a lot. He has some good ones.
I heard about the one team meeting speech where his tooth fell out.
His tooth fell out.
Mid speech. Maybe you didn't realize it, but his tooth fell out, and he bent down, picked it up, and put it back in, and continued like he didn't even.
I don't think I realized it.
Amon Ra told me that story.
Really?
It really happened.
I don't think I remember that.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was.
That's funny. It was probably the training camp one, honestly.
Okay.
Also because it's kind of played out that way as well. You know what I mean? In terms of what he actually said. It really was true.
Oh, William's really sweet. He said, "Will you just let him know the entire Lions fan base appreciates him?"
Of course. That we appreciate him?
That they appreciate you. Fans appreciate you. The whole fan base.
I appreciate it. You said William?
William.
Thanks, Will. I appreciate you.
Which one of these 3 would you be okay with never eating again? This is from Detroit Nightmare. 3 options. Pizza, burgers, or seafood. You had to choose one. You can never eat it again.
Pizza, burgers, or seafood?
Yeah, God, you live in Florida.
I love salmon. I don't think I could ever give up salmon. So it's not seafood. So it's really between pizza and burgers. What do I like more?
You're a Jersey guy too.
I love both. God, I guess I'd give up burgers. Can't give up pizza, right?
No, I don't think so.
Burgers.
No, I agree.
That's a tough one though too.
It is really tough. It really is.
Good barbecue bacon cheeseburger is fantastic.
I love this question from Valet Vespa. I don't know if they're actually a valet. What influence in your life led you to be such an activist and leader in the community?
Definitely my mom, no question. And it goes back to kind of what I said, it takes a village to raise a child and stuff like that. I've always been so much about my roots and giving back and just being able to put other, kids in position, to be whatever they want. They don't have to be a football player. They can be anything, doctor, lawyer, scientist. I don't care, But to inspire them, motivate them, and give them the confidence to be who they want to be, I think is the biggest thing. I think, like I said, birthing that self-conviction, that conviction within yourself where you truly believe that you can do anything that you want to do. I think that's the end goal in everything that I do from an activist standpoint. I truly feel like that.